Welcome back to Cheche, the program where opinion counts on Citizen TV. Now, Kenya is richer than previously thought. Recalculating our income found millions of dollars in extra income. That should be a good thing, but is it? Well, today's guest is the Treasury Cabinet Secretary, Henry Rotich. What has this middle income status changed?
The very important thing is that, this is really the size of the economy which has grown. The important thing is that how is this translating to really, socio-economic development?
But that's the question I'm asking
for the
you.
Country.
What has it changed?
Exactly. So first, it's good that we are, we have measured our GDP correctly and we have the right figures. We now can plan very well. What is important now is how we really distribute these resources very efficiently using the right policies so that the common mwananchi feels this growth.
So nothing has changed yet?
So far, we just rebase the statistics and we have shown that you have more income than before. But the actual social economic development is really how you plan your policies to redistribute these resources.
Let's talk about that.
So how are you planning the resources then?
Very good question. That is why we're saying that what we have put in place as government, particularly dealing with infrastructure. The important thing about infrastructure really is that it creates the base in which the economy will grow and expand economic activity, which now you can actually share a bigger pie once you have you have to grow it to share it. And that is why we're saying, let's put the right policies to grow that pie. We are putting that. We are now also, at the same time, also investing in our people, providing more resources in education sector. We have started a program now, I think beginning this financial year. We increased the free secondary and free primary. We have a target within 3 years that by 3 years education is really free. You should not be spending even a cent
money on uniforms and books.
And that's really what is the target, And that's really a huge impact, for people who are taking their children to school.
But that addresses quantity and not quality, because various reports show us that people are being pushed through primary school en masse.
Yes.
They're in standard 7. They can't read. They can't do basic computation.
Right. That's another area where we need to combine both. As we increase the quantities, we also need to invest, and that is why the initiative of also leveraging on ICT in our.
But teachers would tell you that that's why they're on strike. They can't deliver quality because they're not properly compensated.
Well, we can talk about whether teachers are compensated adequately or not. Yes, it's important. It's a very important ingredient to, of course, compensate the teacher. Also, the productivity of that teacher is very important to improve the quality. And this is what we are all saying, that let's enhance the teachers' pay. At the same time, let's look at their productivity so that we can ensure that the quality in our education, in education
David
system.
is troubled.
There is a more global, let me say, strategic view that I would like to get from you in terms of, as Uduak asked, you have the money, you are now at middle income, you have this pie. How is the allocation of that pie going in terms of development, investment in development, capital investments like infrastructure, which will be the foundation for the economy, and sustaining quality in services so that there is no collapse? My view is that there is an attempt, sometimes a perception, that the government is investing in so much capital investment of those projects, which, while they are good, they also have capital and political attraction. Because, well, they capture the imagination of the public, and two, they create opportunities for the homeboys to make the money, which can be spaced out over a period so that you have expenditures that keep the economy and the country and the essential services going at a quality level, as well as provide opportunities.
Precisely.
What is the balance here?
Yeah, this is really very important to balance what we have to invest first, that important to grow the economy. Yeah. Because it's important to grow. You know, the reason why you need to grow is that you need to share a bigger pie. So very important, let's make this to be big. And to do that is that what we're saying is that at our growth rate of 5.5% is not enough. Let's get this higher. At the same time, and I agree with you, we need to put the policies right that also ensures that we grow. As we grow, we are bringing all Kenyans together, gradually to ensure that they are also participating in this growth. To make sure that they participate in this growth is where are we spending this money for? We are spending them on, I said, in education. We're spending them on health, free maternity and all that. We're spending them on also social protection issues, which are important. And that is why you now bring in more people to be part and parcel of the growth. The infrastructure spending you are doing is also generating employment.
You've made that
which
point.
The youth.
You've made that point. Let me show you agriculture. Yes. This is what some of our viewers who are listening to you think. Yes. The hype of achieving middle-income status is a consequence of electing a government detached from the common Mwananchi's plight, obsessed with PR with no regard to the real benefits to the election machine, the voters. I don't think Mr. Rotich has an idea of what the common Mwananchi is going through. How do you tell us the economy is growing, yet Kenyans are hardly making ends meet? Surely, is this growth to be enjoyed by him and his colleagues in power? And there's several other messages coming in reflecting that point of view.
That's why Agriculture Commission.
Yeah. It's very important. I think those concerns are obviously very legitimate. This is what we all preoccupies us a lot at the Treasury, and all my colleagues who are working towards get the right policies to ensure that we move the resources where it's very impactful. And that is why the policies that we put, and I emphasize this, that there is no mechanism that you can actually, wake up tomorrow and say, okay, distribute this to you because you are poor, let me give you X. Okay, we've done that in the social protection transfers, yeah. But you will only transfer if you have the resources, yeah. So we have to grow the economy to be
so we bigger, don't have the resources.
And then that's why we need to get this growth bigger. The size
we're
of
growing,
but
we're not growing enough.
Not enough. That's the point, and why we were saying that our target of over 7 to 10 will obviously make a meaningful dent to hold this poverty we are talking about.
Agriculture.
I want to go to agriculture because the real problem of poverty. When you say you are dealing with agriculture,
yes,
who in agriculture the sector is happy? Look at every aspect of it. If it's tea, as you said, tea there's serious problem. They can't sell that prices. If it's coffee, it's the same. Look at maize. It's terrible.
Yes.
The other day they are producing. In fact, it's more expensive to produce maize here than Uganda and Tanzania. Look at sugarcane, the same.
Correct, yeah.
Horticulture, the same.
Yes.
In fact, at one time there was a requirement by banks to give 16% of their loans to agriculture. I don't know whether they still follow. Yeah. So who is happy? Why can we say we have expanded agriculture? Is that more tea we have grown or sold more, get more foreign exchange? Is it coffee? Zero. If you go to Kiambu, which used to be a prime area for growing coffee, it's now in the estate. There are more poor people in Kiambu today than 10 years ago. There are more poor people in maize areas than 10 years ago. More poor people in sugar areas than 10 years ago. So where is it agriculture we're doing well?
I fully agree. The challenge in agriculture really is that over years we have not provided adequate resources to deal with the challenges in the agriculture sector. I think it's a sector that I would say, and in many other African countries, have been neglected at some point. We do recognize it is the biggest sector in our economy. It is contributing 25 to 30% of our GDP. It employs 60-70% of our population. But over years, they have not been investment to improve its productivity or change the way it has happened. And this is what now we are looking at. Very important that you mentioned that the productivity of agriculture has gone down. 20 years ago, we used to know that in an acre of 1 acre of a farm could do almost 30 or 40 bags of maize, but now we don't reach that level. So what has happened is that there have not been investment in modernizing this sector, mechanizing this sector. We still use the same equipment we used to have 20 years ago or 50 years ago. And this is where now the emphasis is becoming, and actually it turns out that it was really a global phenomenon, that every country neglected and moved to other sectors where they found that there was growth manufacturing or services sector at the expense of agriculture.
You can't grow that food.
Now, yes, that is very important. Now, this is the realization that has come heavily, that we have many population, the number of people in the world has increased substantially. More people to feed. Where are the food? And this is where now a refocus of agriculture is important. Also direct the youth to also participate fully in this sector.
Yeah,
and
but
this is
in
the
practical
important
terms, Henry, I mean, is there anything going on in that area?
Yeah.
I mean, we
Yes,
had
the specific
what
can we see?
to talk about some of those things.
Yes,
But
the specific priorities that the government has put is just to improve, production. Over the last 2 years, we have continued to subsidize fertilizer, much even higher subsidy than before. Continued support to farmers to access the basic inputs, seeds and all that. And I think last year there was a lot of expectation. So fertilizer subsidy was huge. And that was an immediate attempt.
Has it yielded though? Just on that one before you move to the next,
Yes.
because the farmers still got to sell their maize
Correct.
lower than the cost of producing that maize, even with the subsidy of fertilizers and the plan even to set up the factory and so on. Still this year, we talk practically, farmers have complained that they should have been paid more than 2,500.
That's very important.
2,800.
That's very important. We, of course, we were working on the production side to subsidize, so that it's also important that we work on the market side and ensure that the produce that we get are actually farmers get a decent pay for it. At the same time, where is the market for this, which is an area that is becoming a very complex and challenging area that we need to really understand the dynamics of the demand for this product and what do we need to do. It's still a stable food for Kenya. It's continuing to pose a challenge because at the moment we have been guaranteeing and providing a certain price through the National Cereals and Produce Board. Yes. The question is that sustainable in view of the fact that
the food security part, beyond which the farmers then are left on their own because the cost is still higher. After you buy your 40,000, I don't know how many
5 million bags, 6 million.
6 million bags or so for the National Reserve, farmers are left on their own, and then their costs are still discouraging them to do.
Yeah, and that is why we are putting other mechanism to deal with the side of the market is the issues to do with improving the storage, warehousing, receipting, and all that. And we are looking at coming up with a commodity exchange in future, so that farmers can have an avenue where they can decide at this particular time whether to sell their product or wait whether prices are better. The big challenge is storage, managing that produce to stay for a longer period.
We need to
so it's an area that is
we need to make up the time because the teachers are out in their numbers. But before we get to the teachers, there are several questions about interest rates. Take this one from Muga in Meru. What are they doing to the high lending rates? We were told they would come down to below 10% after the Eurobond.
And the bank rate,
the
central bank rate.
Correct. Let me address the issue of lending rates, and it's a very important question, and an area where continues to preoccupy us also at the Treasury and with our colleagues in the central bank and government as a whole. As you know, His Excellency the President and the Deputy President have actually addressed these issues in several fronts. We have looked at ourselves what is really causing, what is the root cause of the high interest rates in Kenya, and also the spread, which is the lending and the deposit rate and all that. And we found many things that needs to be addressed. The first thing that we did was that we wanted to ensure that banks are actually using a uniform base when giving you credit. You know, at the moment, at that time, I think now they have already complied with that. You could go to, we have 43 banks. You go, there were 43 base rates. You know, you go to Bank A, they'll tell you our base rate is 18. You go to Bank B, our base rate is 23, plus what they will add on top of that. So we've brought order there to ensure that we have same reference rate,
which is
9.13 at the moment. That's the base rate. That's what we call now the reference rate, which is the Kenya bankers reference rate. So every bank now has benchmarked on that. So now, if they have to give you a loan, they will say 9.13 plus, judging on your
whatever
credit,
profit they want to make.
Yes, but of course it reflects their operational cost and their profit margin, plus also the risk of the consumer, the credit worthy of the person who was a borrower. So and that is also an area we are addressing, because we didn't want banks also. Yes, we agree on the base rate. Charge everybody plus margins which are also again
so what
reasonable.
Is in your view, sitting as a Treasury CS, the standard average interest rate that it should be, we were to prescribe now, regardless of which banks will be offended? What would be your recommendation?
I would judge it this way. If you look at what government ourselves we are borrowing, because government really is also a borrower. I'll come to it, how we participate in this market. We're also a borrower, and we are almost like risk-free. I mean, borrower, because you know that government will pay. Now, for a 91 or a 3 months Treasury bill, I borrow at 8.3. You know, for a 5-year. I borrow at around 12%. You know? So these are the rates that are obtaining. So what I will always is for an individual like you, Barak, you need to you are not government. How much credit to risk can a bank attach to you? So I think those are really the.
I wanted a figure that you think everything considered would be reasonable in the current economy.
To give a figure is quite difficult, but I think the indications I'm trying to show you is that if government can borrow a 5-year, and you want also to say borrow a mortgage for a 5-year,
I don't think
it should be around that plus.
I think I think the question is, given the variables in the Kenyan economy, at what rate should we be borrowing?
Well, the banks
from where you sit.
People.
How it puts it at, depending on the tenure, say if we work on a tenure of, say, 10 years, you know, you go to borrow a 10-year. As I said, as government, we are borrowing at a range of 12 to 13%. Then I would add something for a private sector, probably about a 2 percentage point or so. So that's what. But we need to work on the fundamentals.
So there's no hope coming from the Treasury.
No, the Treasury is no.
I'll allow you to continue the thought.
That's not what we are saying. What we're saying is that now, as that is what is prevailing. But what have we done to address that issue? We have. You mentioned the Eurobond.
Yes, but Muga's question was that you promised rates below 10%.
That's where I wanted to come, and then that's why did we go that route? The route, why did we go that route is for us to get out of borrowing locally
And crowding out other...
And leave the private sector to borrow here.
Yeah.
Which has, now, if I am not participating in this market...
In short, has it worked? Has it worked? Has it reduced
we need to take a break.
Yes, I will address that.
Has it reduced by when, since you got the Eurobond and now?
I will come into that.
This is Cheche. We're live on Citizen TV. Are Kenya's growing economic fortunes real or imagined? We're trying to establish that with our guest today, the Cabinet Secretary for the Treasury, Henry Rotich. Send us your thoughts. The SMS number is 22422, or you can tweet us at @Cheche_TV.